Welcome back. Joe Blasco here on MUA TV's Spotlight on Success. This is our Lifetime Achievement Show. And we have someone who actually has had such a life in makeup artistry. So rich, so incredible. Mr. Dan Striepeke. Now we're back with Dan.
Thank you, Joe.
My pleasure.
Anyway, we're about 5 weeks into Planet of the Apes, and I mean, it is crushing the burden of getting this thing done. And I'm in my office at Fox, and I was doing the makeup on Victor Jory. You remember Victor Jory?
Oh, sure.
And it was for the TV show Journey to the Bottom of the Sea, Irwin Allen.
Right.
And I didn't usually do anything on television. I was too busy with features.
Yeah.
But this makeup intrigued me. And Johnny, who was just overloaded in the lab, he was, we had a 114-year-old man to make Victor Jory into a 114-year-old man. And it's just a very small vignette in a TV piece where he's on these electrodes and he's shaking. And no dialogue. So John did a clay sculpture on Jory's face and did a slip mold on top of that, and then just did a slush.
I see.
And airbrush part of it. And so anyway, it was crude.
Yes.
But it was sufficient.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm putting this mask on Victor Jory, and he was a wonderful man. But anyway, into my office and makeup room walks this funny-looking guy with this funny-looking haircut, with these funny 5 guys behind him, all with their noses you know where. And and in the corner of my office, on a refrigerator, I had a model of the face for the lady who dehydrated in the spaceship.
Yes.
The astronaut
Great. That was
lady.
great. Yeah.
And this guy starts
You
yelling.
have to tell us about that.
This guy starts yelling and pointing at this head. He says, "I want him to look like that. I want him to look like that." Now, I hadn't finished the makeup yet. I hadn't done any highlight or shadows or anything on it. I threw my brush down. I was livid. I didn't know who this guy was. And I said, "I don't know who you are, jerk, but get the hell out of my office, or you're going to get my foot right up you know where." Well, he turned and he broke 5 guys' noses as he turned. And they all went traipsing out. I went back to work on Mr. Jory.
Right.
And all of a sudden, my secretary and my clerk, the phones are ringing off the hook. It's coming all the way down from Dick Zanuck. Everybody, what have you done? You've insulted the biggest producer on the lot. He wants your head. I said, he can have anything he wants. As far as I'm concerned, this is a day check. This job is a day check.
Right.
If you don't want me tomorrow, I'm out of here.
Right.
And I really meant it.
Let him. Yeah.
Well, then they started to back off a little bit, So I said, let the proof be in the pudding. I'll take this makeup myself and walk it down to stage 10. And we'll photograph it.
Yes.
And we'll look at it in dailies tomorrow. Then you tell me whether you want to fire me or not.
Yes.
And I said, oh, by the way, who is that jerk? That's Irwin Allen. You talk to Irwin Allen like that? I said,
And you were doing the makeup for one of his shows.
Yes. So anyway, I take Mr. Jory down. Jory is apologetic. Oh, he's just. Anyway, we do the shot. It's a.
Right. It's quick.
Yeah. Anyway, next morning, my assistant Dick Hamilton, lovely man, who normally ran the TV division of the department.
I remember the name.
Came with me, and we went. He was an assistant to Ben Niles.
Yes.
And we went down to a screening room, and I'm sitting there, and in walks the funny guy with the guys all the broken noses,
Yes.
And they roll the film, and here's the first shot is Victor Jory, and all of a sudden there's applause. And I stood up and I said, "Thank you very much," and Richard and myself left. Well, Mr. Allen never bothered me after that. He literally damn near killed Ben Nye. he had Ben so boxed and fearful of him that it was just horrendous. I did see to it that the key makeup artist on every feature film in that studio got screen credit.
Yeah, and you were the first
I was
department
first-
head to
first
do that.
major department head
That's
to do
right.
that.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Now, there was a man I recall Ben mentioning to me, a fellow that did the prosthetics originally in the lab. His name was Dick Smith. Not the Dick Smith that we know today,
No.
but another Dick Smith.
Yes, Dick Smith.
And I believe it was Dick Smith, this Dick Smith, that Dick Smith, that worked with Ben when they did The Fly.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct? Do you know any,
He was
do you have
the
any
lab
stories?
man.
Were you
He-
around during that period?
Dick Smith was the lab man for Ben all the years that Ben was there.
Yes.
Until the last
Yes.
thing.
But they didn't do really very much as far as
Not a lot
appliances
of,
were
no,
concerned.
no.
Yeah.
Fly was probably
Yeah.
the biggest reason. And Dick Smith and Ben had worked together for Monty Westmore Sr.
Yes.
on
Uh,
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind, right,
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. And so they went back a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And Dick was a wonderful old, kind of garrulous old guy. He had a limp, he got a step infection type fellow. But he had a heart of gold. But unfortunately, the
Yes.
time had passed
Yes,
by. you know,
exactly.
And it was time to move on. So I stayed at Fox until, let's see, we did Patton, we did Hello, Dolly.
Yes. You worked with-
Dolly I'm very proud of because Ernest Lehman was the producer and
Yes.
Gene Kelly was the director on that, and I had great rapport with those two
Wonderful
gentlemen.
film that was.
You know, I had great rapport with those two gentlemen, and I said, you know, I really want to give you gentlemen a John Singer Sargent look without burning through the emulsion.
Yeah.
And we had the Fox Lab at that time.
Right.
So we want him very pale, John Singer Sargent looking, you know, and
Yeah.
Barbara and all that sort of thing. And so I was able to get tremendous amount of testing,
Yes.
and I would go to the lab every night
Yes.
in the developing of the film
Yes.
for the tests.
Yes.
And they'd change a microvolt here, or they had a
Right,
little
right.
cyan.
You
or-
do all the color correction.
And we did everything, and I followed it through to ultimate degree. And I'm
Yes.
very proud of the look of that picture.
It was fantastic.
Really looks good.
Yeah.
We did Che. We did, you know, we just did a lot of films.
right,
A lot of films. And
I remember working in the lab, at Ben's lab on Santa Monica
On Santa
Boulevard,
Monica.
making the makeup for Hello, Dolly.
yes,
That's how,
right,
that's
right.
where I learned my cosmetics chemistry from Ben.
That's exactly right.
You know.
Ben.
And there was Dolly Highlight. Do you remember all
Dolly
those?
1, 2, and 3.
That's
No,
right. I poured those.
Oh, good for you. They
I-
were
I
beautiful-
made those for
they were
you.
Beautiful colors. And before that, he was making the makeup for Star,
That's right.
which was very
I
pale
did those
also.
as well
Yes.
in that lab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That crosswalk.
You see how
Yeah.
our paths have crossed
And,
several times.
So
actually.
anyway, the studio, Mr. Zanuck and Mr. Brown left the
Right.
studio, and the studio really started going downhill
Yeah.
as far as the major studio is
Yes.
concerned. And I saw that my time was rather limited.
Were you there during Cleopatra?
No, that was before me.
Yes.
That was before me. I was probably at Warner Brothers at that time.
Yeah.
So,
Let me back up. Let me
Yes.
ask you a question. Was it Planet of the Apes that you feel finally was that piece of the puzzle that made Ben decide that he wanted to retire?
well, it may have been a part of it, but Ben was having fainting spells. He had
Yeah.
terrible high blood pressure, hypertension,
I remember.
and he was having a terrible time with it. And I think on doctor's recommendation
Yeah.
or something, he decided that he had to
Yeah.
get out of that pressure cooker.
Right.
He'd been in it for so many years.
What,
And
30
a
years?
pressure cooker, I mean,
Right.
you know, run that department.
And
every
then,
day.
then it actually, that was a picture that actually needed a whole new approach, a different approach than had been done previously on anything that had ever been done
Well,
at
that's
Fox.
true, because it was just, it was so unusual, you know, probably the most extensive picture since Wizard of Oz.
Yes,
Without
yes.
doubt. And I would say that with the Bill Tuttle winning the first honorary Academy
Seven
Award.
Faces of Dr.
Seven
Lau.
Faces of Dr. Lau, and John winning the second
Right.
award. I'll give you a little insight into that. Dick Zanuck called me and requested that John and I come to his office.
Yes.
And so we did, and he said, "Gentlemen, we have a problem here because..."
I know what you're going to say.
He says, we have an Academy Award for this effort,
And there's
but he
one.
said, because it's honorary, it can only be one. I said, well, there's no question about it. John did the design, he developed it. I mean, it's his,
Absolutely.
and as it should be. And I've
Yes.
always stuck to that. And people have tried to get me to give some various stories, but there's no other story.
No, there's no other story.
So, anyway, by the time 1971 came around, the studio was really nascent. So I had been developing a screenplay ever since I did a picture with Elvis Presley in Florida called Follow That Dream.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, Ann Helm was in that, who had
Right.
been in the Burt Gordon.
Right. The Magic
The
Sword.
Magic Sword. So, anyway, I developed this story about, I had gone on a Sunday, while we were on location in Ocala, Florida, I went to a snake farm.
I live just 50 miles south of there. Yeah.
Well, we were at Crystal River mainly.
Oh,
around
yeah.
there.
It's beautiful.
Anyway, so I went to a snake farm, and I watched all these reptiles and everything, and fascinated. So I was bored, Sunday on location, what do you do?
Yes.
So I went back to my motel room and I started writing, and I started writing, and I started writing. I wrote for years. And, 7 years later,
Yes.
I had gotten a script together.
Yes.
I had paid a screenwriter to write a screenplay.
Yes.
And off my story, and a friend of mine got it to David Brown, of Zanuck Brown.
Yes.
And they were at Warner Brothers at the
Yes.
time. And they had not announced it yet, but they were moving to Universal.
This was about 72,
72.
73?
72.
Mhm.
So David Brown read the script, he liked it, he gave it to Dick Zanuck, Dick Zanuck liked it, and I got a call from the Dick Zanuck secretary and said, would you meet Mr. Zanuck and Mr. Brown at the Bel Air Hotel on Saturday for lunch?
Right.
I said, certainly. So I did, and they said, now, and I had all the pictures of the metamorphosis of the young man into a snake and everything, all the visuals. So, and John and I had worked out how we were going to do this.
Yes.
And so Zanuck says to me, he says, we're going in to see Mr. Wasserman on Monday morning.
At
We'd like to
Universal.
present this as our first film for
Yes.
Zanuck Brothers.
This was the head of MCA Universal.
Right. So I said, well, absolutely, So I had to form an S corporation because the studio would not do business with an individual on that level. So I formed the S corporation. Now, Bernie Kowalski, who had directed a lot of Mission Impossible, I asked him to direct the film. And he passed the vetting of the studio and Zanuck Brown. So Bernie was the director, and he brought on board Strother Martin.
Yes.
And then we cast the rest of the picture together. But Heather Menzies, who had been one of the children in Sound of Music, who I used to make out, we cast her as the young lady in it. So it's funny how
That's great.
how the business.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we made that film at Universal, and John did all the lab work with all the boy reducing down to a reptile, and he had a wonderful sculptor working for him who had worked with me when I was in Spartacus. His name was Chris Mueller, the Old World
Yes.
craftsman. He spent 4 years on a cathedral in San Diego, for instance. A marvelous
Yes,
sculptor.
yes. He's got quite a reputation.
Yeah.
Chris.
And so
What's the name of the film? That you directed?
SSSSS.
Oh, yeah, it was. Right, I remember.
And
Yes.
so anyway, we made the film, and John won a very prestigious award in France
Yes, for the film.
for his work on that film. And then after that was over with, I was out looking for a job again, of course, and I landed the department head on Grease.
Yes.
And I just had a wonderful time with that film. I had great fun with the kids. And,
Yes.
and I tried to do some different
Yes.
things.
Do you remember who your makeup people were?
I had
on
Eddie
Grease?
Allen,
Yes. At the high school.
At the high school. Eddie Allen was my second. And John came and worked for me a lot.
John Chambers.
Yeah, he'd come and do day checks. And
John Elliott was there.
Yes, yeah, John. Yeah, there's quite a few.
And
yeah.
Joe Blasco
And Joe
was there.
That's right.
I was there when we shot at the high school. It was you.
At Venice High.
That's right,
Yeah.
at Venice High. We
Yeah.
did all the interiors, and you put me
Right.
out in the back with Sid Caesar.
I hope you were nice. I hope I was nice to you.
You were great to me.
Anyway.
You were wonderful to me.
But-
and the makeups, you know, I just recently saw the film
Yeah.
for the first time. I was looking at some of my makeups and trying to remember which ones I did.
Yeah.
And but I have to tell you, the beauty makeups. Are
They were great.
phenomenal.
They were just
really
great.
great.
They were really wonderful. They were fresh, like kids should be fresh.
Yeah,
It's not-
absolutely. It was
yeah.
great. That was, you know what? That was a great experience for me.
That was.
It wasn't that long. I think we were only there a week, 2 weeks at the very most
Yeah,
at the high
most.
school.
Yeah,
at the high school.
itself. We started in the
Right.
bleachers there.
Right.
And everybody's getting sunburned.
Right. That was terrific.
But anyway, so after that, I forgot what I did. I did this or that, and then I did a picture with John Travolta again.
John Travolta, right.
With he and Lily Tomlin.
Yes,
And
yes.
it was a disaster, and that was the end of that.
He was a good kid. I mean, to
I
work
like
with
John.
then, yeah.
John's a wonderful man.
Yeah, he's terrific.
Wonderful man. I did a year of Cotter with him.
Yes.
Welcome back, Cotter.
You did?
I just worked a couple hours.
Where did you shoot that? Did you? Was that at ABC?
Yeah, ABC.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very nice man.
Yeah.
Really a nice
Sweet
man.
guy.
And I like Kelly and
Yeah.
that whole thing. So,
So let's go back. Let me name a few names, and you tell me your experiences
All right.
with them. Jack Pierce.
Jack Pierce, I worked for on a series called, which was based on the John Kennedy book, Profiles in Courage.
Yes.
Jack Pierce probably was one of the most original, inventive makeup artists that ever lived,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
The pioneer.
And a wonderful fellow.
Yes.
Wonderful man. And he'd make you shake in your boots because
Yes.
you're working with a giant, you
Yes,
know. But wonderful fellow.
Yes.
Just wonderful.
And are there any incidences or moments that you can share with us that?
Jack, he's very dedicated, quiet, rather introverted. Still wore the puttees.
Right,
you know?
right.
He was old world,
Yes.
but wonderful craftsman,
Yes,
wonderful
yes.
artist. Yeah.
Your list of credits, if I may use these glasses, I borrowed these glasses from Danny, and I don't thank you because I forgot mine. Goes on and on and on. You've done so much with Tom Hanks.
I had 19 years with Tom.
That's fantastic.
And, you know, I'm sure you saw the article in the New York Times that Tom did on me.
Yes,
And it's...
and in the Makeup Artist magazine as well. the
Yes,
photo-
they
you did the
reproduced it.
cover.
Yes, but you know, that tribute from that man has seemed like it's eclipsed everything else I've ever done, you
Yes,
know,
yeah.
because it is so tender and so
Yes.
thoughtful. But when it happened, he called me, he says that the article's in the Times. He was trying for Vanity Fair.
Yes.
And he said I could get a better deal in the Times, they get more space.
Yes.
And the other thing is that what that article did, it brought to the forefront, I believe, what a makeup artist
Absolutely.
can bring to the table
Right.
and to the production. And I think it's forever helped everyone.
Absolutely. It also showed the close relationship
Yeah,
that
of
can
course.
develop between two very
And-
talented
and-
people.
And really, to make it all work, it must develop that
Right,
way, so to
absolutely.
speak. I mean, how more, you know, you have an actor in your chair at 6 o'clock in the morning, they're
Right.
totally vulnerable
Right.
to so much, or
Yes.
they say things that have to stay off the record.
Yes,
And
yeah.
people have to be circumspect about
Yes,
that.
yeah.
That is a very important thing in our business.
Yes. Who's the most difficult, if you could mention, you don't have to say names, but you can tell us what the situation was and how you handled it. This will help all of the newcomers and a lot of the old timers out there also.
Well, I've had a couple people, I kicked them out of my chair and said, go down to the set, and the set man will make you up. Because I won't.
That's great. Do
well.
you think we can get away with that these days?
Well, it depends upon your courage.
Yes.
I mean, you know, there is a point you
Right.
can't go beyond.
Right.
I have to tell you, I mentioned this earlier. We were doing a picture in Mexico called, I was working for Emil Levine,
Yes.
and it's called Kings of the Sun.
Yes.
Huge, big panorama. There was Yul Brynner and George Chakiris,
Yes.
and Richard Basehart, and
Great
Just-
actor, Richard Basehart.
oh yeah,
Loved him.
and Shirley Ann Fields,
Yes.
a huge cast, and it's about Mayan and North American Indians,
Yes.
so you can imagine.
Yes.
We were at Chichen Itza
Wow.
with 2,000 people with all the tattoos and the wigs and the.
That's
you know,
before transfers,
and
before the tattoo
I
transfers.
had, and I had to bring the body makeup to Mexico in powder form because they wouldn't allow it to come in
Really?
liquid form.
So you had to mix everything there,
Mix
right
it
on
there.
location.
I had 14 people rubbing and 4 spraying.
Yes.
You know. Anyway, and we ran out of wigs because production figured half the people wouldn't show up, so they ordered double, and everybody showed up.
Where were you getting the wigs from then? From Factor?
I think we were getting them from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
They're probably from
As many
wig
places as
creations
possible.
everywhere,
Right.
everywhere, yeah. And a lot of them made for the actors,
Yes.
the principals. Anyway, we're on the picture about a month, and we moved to Mexico City to Chichen Itza, to studios. I mean, not Chichen Itza, but Churubusco Studios.
Yes.
And we had this huge Indian encampment. It's going to be a Monday morning shoot. Shirley Ann Fields asked me on a Saturday morning, she says, I'm going to bullfights tomorrow, and I don't want to go alone. Would you like to join me? And I said, well, yeah, but can I bring my boss's daughter with me? And there was a party after that at this Armando Silvestri's house
Yes.
in the Piedras, in the fancy part of Mexico City.
Right.
And she said, well, of course, so bring Robin. Robin, you know Robin.
Yes, Robin.
And
His
she was a
daughter.
little girl at
Right,
that time.
right.
She was like 11 years old. So we go to the bullfight, and it's quite a magical, corrida, and formal corrida in Plaza de Mexico. And over about 12 rows from us is the director, and he's drunk. I mean, he's really drunk. And he's yelling, of course, for the bull to kill the damn matador. And, everybody, the 50,000 people are hating this guy, you know. So anyway, the corrida's over, and everybody gets up to leave,
Right.
and we go down, and the director is pushing people aside, and peasants and those. So anyway, Shirley Ann Fields' car drives up with Miguel, the driver. And the director's car is right behind with Jose. So I go over to open the back door, and the director yells at me, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, this is Shirley's car." Well, he called me an effing colonial. He's British. But he's walking toward me at the time.
Oh, bad move.
And I
Bad move.
flipped out, and I caught him coming to me with a right, and down he went, blood flying all over. And his friend says, "You've killed my director." I said, "He gets up, he's really dead." I was livid. I lost it. I really lost it.
You don't mess around with Dan Striepeke.
Anyway, we got in the car. Robin and Shirley Ann and myself, and we run off to
Right.
Silvestri's house. And I'll never forget it as long as I live, because we get to the house and I'm still shaking. And go in and I see Emil Levine. And I said, "Emil, I've got a problem." He said, "What is it?" So I said, "Come on." And so we went in the back bedroom, and I told him, and he got a headache immediately. Oh my God. Because we got a huge
Yes.
amount of work to do. Anyway, so he says, "Wait a minute." So he goes out and he comes back. He says, "Tell Yul your story." So I told
Good move.
Yul Brynner the story. Yul looked at me and he says, "Well, good, it serves the SOB right." So anyway, the party goes on. The next morning I'm in. I do Richard Basehart, I do Brad Dexter, I do Shirley Ann Fields makeup, and a couple other people. Then I'm going to the set. I take my little box and I go in and put on the vendor, the Chapman crane,
Right,
big crane shot,
Right.
and these huge doors. He's taped and taped. He's black and blue. He's really messed up. Then I figured, this is it. I'm going to get the axe.
This is, you know how many directors I've wanted to do
So I
that to.
said, good morning, Lee, what happened?
Right.
He says, I don't know. And I worked 4 more months on the film.
That's good
Nobody
for
ever
you.
told him.
That's great.
Now, years later, oddly enough, he's directing
He was so-
Planet of the Apes.
Oh my God.
And I tell him the story.
The original Planet?
No, he directed number 4
Okay, yeah.
and 5.
Right.
Anyway, I told him, and he fell down laughing. He thought it was the funniest thing he ever heard. Of course, I think it cost him a new set of teeth. You know?
How many of the Apes pictures did you do?
I did 1, 2, and 3, and then I left.
So you did the second one where they did the
Yeah.
pull over the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of work too.
That was a lot of work, yeah. You know how we finally solved that problem? Because we were all sketching and with pencils or pens and ink, and also had a sketch artist, and also doing sketching in clay.
Right.
And sending it to Arthur Jacobs in London. They were doing a picture with Gregory Peck in London. They kept saying, no, they reject. And I don't know where the genesis happened, but somehow or other, Grey's Anatomy came to the forefront.
Yes.
And we looked at it and said, oh my God.
Revealing your inner self is what it was.
And then
right?
we took a silicone,
Yeah.
a little bit of silver in it, and just went over it to give the depth.
Yes.
And that was it. That
I see.
it solved
So
the
that's what you
problem.
coated the appliances with.
Yeah.
It was a silicone.
Yeah.
Excellent.
look into.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Gave it a lot of depth and transparency.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you have to see Planet of the Apes 2 also. You should see the entire series.
Beneath, yeah.
Yeah, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And they actually are mutants.
Right.
And they wear masks supposedly through the picture.
Right.
And then at
reveal.
a moment they remove their mask and their inner self is revealed.
Right.
And it just had to be a tremendously difficult makeup to apply at that time. It was very thin.
Yeah.
Very, very thin, because it had to be.
Yeah, and we
It couldn't have
used-
built up.
We made what we call worms
Yes.
to hide blend lines, you know?
Yes, yes.
And, but to get that transparency up to the eyelid
Right.
was difficult, you know?
Right.
But it worked, but
Yeah,
you
it was
know,
great.
but it was ultimately Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It was
Yeah.
terrific. It was terrific.
Very interesting film.
Let's talk about. Go ahead.
No, but to show how the continuity of John and myself is that
Yes.
we then later after the snake picture
Yes.
for SSSSS, we did The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yes, that's what I was getting to
with
next.
Burt Lancaster.
Yes.
And John and I worked as creators of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the idea that we make them look as much like the Bull Man and the
Yes.
Lion, Cat Man and all
Yes.
everything. But the idea was that if you looked at the original film, the Lawton film,
Yes, the Island of Lost Souls.
it was more what you didn't see than what you just saw, a lot of shadows. and things.
Exactly,
And we tried to convince Don Taylor, the director, that it's got to be more mysterioso and
Yeah.
not that
in
huge
your
reveal.
face. Yes.
But the reveal can happen, but it has to
Right.
be so quick that it's almost subliminal.
Right. Right.
I didn't want to buy that, you know.
Mm.
And so, those gags you can look at for so long, and then they give themselves away.
Yes, of course.
You know, and that's what happened in that film. It had a chance to really be a great film. And John, ultimately, his designs were just brilliant.
Yeah, they were
Brilliant.
fantastic.
And
The Planet of the Apes, all the work that you did in Planet of the Apes was great prepreparation.
oh boy,
For
was it
that
ever?
picture.
Was it ever? And we went back to wool
Oh, you
for
did?
the overlay
Oh, yeah.
on the hair pieces
I see.
to get that real nice.
Yeah, real thin, fine, natural.
Yeah,
Right.
because with hair you still got that
Yeah, you still have that-
granularity.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see every shaft,
Right.
but this gave it a
It
softness.
softened it, right.
And
I love Burt Lancaster in the
Burt
first
Lancaster
film.
played Moreau.
He was fantastic.
Yeah, and Michael York.
Yes, 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 yes. And from what I was, Lancaster played it very sophisticated.
Yes, he did.
He was very well.
Yeah.
It was like Burt Lancaster.
Yeah.
Marlon Brando in the following in the next film,
Yeah.
he took it off somewhere.
somewhere in
yeah,
outer space.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll tell you a very funny thing.
Go ahead.
The first day of shooting in St. Croix, we're really in the most tropical part of the island. They built the Moreau house. And
Yes.
But the first day shooting was Michael York creeping through the jungle.
Yes.
And Mysterioso.
Right.
And I've got a chopped hair beard on it. Chopped hair.
Mm-hmm.
All of you know what chopped hair.
They know. You watch our makeup moments because I'll show you how to do chopped
And
hair.
very tight crimp.
Yes. Yes.
And
With a bone.
oh yeah,
Pulled apart. Right. Good. You'll know what we're doing.
in the
when I show you.
humidity,
Yeah.
the beard kept growing because the crimp started to relax,
Oh,
right?
I see,
With the
I see.
humidity, and I mean it was 99% humidity. If the temperature dropped
Right,
1 degree,
right,
it would
right,
rain.
Right.
And I got my little electric shear out, and I'm cutting this thing all day long, you know. And the beard keeps getting
Longer and
I
longer.
kept it in continuity,
Right,
but
right.
oh, what a chore!
Oh, my
But
God.
if you've ever dealt with a chopped hair beard in humidity, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. When you do chopped hair, you have to you create little C shapes with the hair, and as long as the C shapes retain that C shape, you know you have continuity with the hair. But in humidity, it's going to relax the C, and it's going to look as
And
though
you can't use a fixative
yeah, you
on
can't.
it.
Yeah, you can.
You can't use Krylon or any kind of
No.
or any kind of a hairspray or anything because there's just not that much hair there.
Right. That's funny.
It was
That
hilarious.
is
It was
funny.
hilarious. Yeah.
Let me look at the list here.
Now I did an interesting picture.
We want to talk about Castaway.
Yeah, but I want to show you before that. I did an interesting picture, and I did not start the film. Dick Smith started the film.
The New York Dick Smith, right?
New York
Not
Dick,
the Hollywood.
and Dick Smith was doing the picture with other people. Delle Civito was on it also, and they had a lot of time in Pennsylvania, the wedding, and up in Seattle and all that. Then they went to Thailand to do the Vietnam
Right.
sequences, and Dick had a fight with the director, and I can understand why. I'll tell you. And he quit.
I know this director.
I got a call at about 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and from a production manager, and he said, Dan, he says, I need a favor. He said, we're really in a bind. He said, would you come to Thailand? So I said, well, what is it? Well, I said, okay, yeah, because I liked the guy, the production manager, very much. So off I fly to Thailand. And it's a long, long trip,
Oh,
as
yeah.
you know, via
Yes.
Japan and all that. So I get there, they get me in a cab in Bangkok and up to Chichikachanaburi where they're shooting. And I see Dick, and I've known Dick for years.
Yes.
And he says, you know, I'm out of here. He says, you know, I'll show you the makeup.
Right.
So I said, okay. So I think it was Monday morning or something like that, and I'm still groggy. You know? And it's a 4-hour makeup. And
4-hour makeup?
4-hour makeup on De Niro.
On De Niro.
Because De Niro wants to look in the mirror and get prepared.
Right.
So anyway,
I gotcha.
there was an eye appliance here where there's a cut that has to get pussy, and then it
Yeah.
heals, and then it opens
Yeah.
up again. There's a whole continuity thing.
Yeah.
And all these marks where his arms have been tied behind his back under the
Yeah.
Nipa hut and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it. So Dick does the makeup. I go to the set with Bobby. Dell is there with Chris
Delle
Walken.
Civito.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's doing Chris Walken
Yes.
that day. John Savage.
Yes.
And
Oh, yeah, John Savage.
and Dick goes home. He left me 7 appliances for the eye, and the sequence is supposed to take 4 days. Well, 17 days later,
So much for the pre-made appliances.
17 days. No, I
You preserved them?
It took
Did
me
you?
almost 2 hours to get them
To
off.
remove them. Yeah.
And
Right.
I said, Bobby, I said, by this time we're talking to Danny and Bobby.
Right.
I said, listen, you're going to have to sit here while I sweat this thing off
Right.
every day. And
But by the 4th day, you were applying them in a way that you knew would allow you to take them off a little more easily.
well, he's in the water. He's in everything. I mean,
know.
and
Oh, my
in the
God.
jungle, the humidity and everything.
Wow.
Oh, it was a nightmare. So anyway, so we get through the 17 days, but we have the infamous or famous Nipa hut thing where the referee is shot in the forehead,
Right.
and De Niro grabs a gun and shoots him. He's
Yes.
slapping Chris Walker.
Yes, yes.
And there were supposed to be appliances for this.
Yes.
But there weren't any. And so what do? You do it with wax, with dew mold, right?
Right.
The old-fashioned way.
Right.
So you make a volcano here, and
Right.
keep it all flat lit,
That's it, right.
shoot straight on,
Shoot
right?
straight on.
Yeah.
That's right.
So anyway, and the wire was going up
Right.
through the guy's
Right.
head.
Would you
here.
use monofilament, transparent fishing tackle?
No, there was a.
Oh, you're talking.
electric
Oh, I
wire
see.
For
Okay.
squib.
Squibs. Right.
Yeah, and a little plate, lead
Right,
plate,
right.
and actually I used a lead foil
Yes.
rather than a lead piece.
Place.
And then do the wax
Right.
and bring it over and tie it back there.
Right.
And then, but I had a big bag, a blood bag back here with foam rubber cut up in it like skull, you know. And that was attached with
To
a
simulate the
lead
bone
plate.
in the blood.
Yeah, with a lead plate and attached in 6 spots with pigtails and pins.
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Like a wig attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do take one, you know, and it goes off well. And now we're about take 23.
Oh my God.
And every time is
And you had to redo the wax each
every
time.
time. You
Oh.
take the old squib off.
Right.
And we're working on apple boxes by the river, you know. And they're saying, hurry up, and I'm ready to kill somebody. So anyway, make a long story short.
You don't have to make it short on our
Okay,
account.
on take 24, I noticed that, I'm back here, and I noticed that the lead plate in the back of the guy's head was loose. So I said, stop, everybody stop. You know, so I said, okay, I gotta go do something. So I go in, now he's got the trigger. I go in and I just start to tighten up the rubber bands, and he fires it off. Well, it burned my fingers. Could have blown them off.
Oh my God.
The plate hit the actor and knocked him out. He went down like he was poleaxed.
Oh my God.
I turned on, and I wanted to kill him. And he had a guard, because the whole crew wanted to kill him. Both the British, the Thai, and the American crew all wanted to kill him. And the guard had a shotgun and a pistol. That's the only reason I didn't punch his button. I couldn't get
There would have been another director
yeah,
down.
number 2. Anyway, oh, what a bastard. You know. And anyway, the picture was really difficult to make. I mean, and then I was doing a picture with Dan Aykroyd at Universal. It was called Dr. Detroit with Fran Drescher and his wife now, Donna, and everything. And we had a wonderful time in Chicago, and the gals had to be high style, and you know all that. It was kind of really fun. And a wonderful, wonderful man. I'm sure you probably knew Jerry Odell.
Oh, sure.
And Jerry Odell was one of the funniest men that ever lived.
Yeah, he was.
But also talented little guy.
Yeah.
And so he worked for me quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
He used to come and work for me over at ABC Television a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, there you go. And so I took him to New Mexico with me on Silverado. And I wanted to do something on Silverado that I had learned from Emil, you know,
Yes.
how these things happen,
Yeah.
on Magnificent Seven.
Yes.
And to give that kind of real earthy look to the Cowboys. But I'm in the trailer one morning, and they're getting ready to do tests. And all the actors are in there, and they're all kind of primping their hair. And I took a look down the row, and I said, my God. I said, I remember when the actors used to worry about how their shafts looked. Cowboys take a knife and cut their hair blunt. You guys got New York hair blowers. Oh, they didn't like
A
that.
real sign of the
They didn't
times,
like it.
Danny.
But that's, yeah, you're right. Amen to that.
Yeah. Oh my. Boy, you know, I don't think you'd change a thing, would you? If you had to, if you were given the chance to do it all over again.
I have to tell you, Joe, my life has been a wonderment.
Yes.
And mainly to myself, that's a wonderment that I've gotten this far in my life. I loved my work. and I was dedicated to my work, the work ethic,
Yes.
I hope I imbued to some of my apprentices.
Absolutely.
Who, most of my apprentices I lost in that dastardly aircraft.
Awful. The Wolper
Yeah,
production.
they're terrible. And, there's something really quite wonderful about dedicating oneself to the higher form
Yes.
and to the art form rather than to oneself.
Yes, absolutely.
And that should be the way. It shouldn't be self
right.
first. It should be
No,
the
no,
art
it's
form
the other way
first.
around. That's right.
You
It
come
comes to
along
you.
with
It comes to you. If
Absolutely.
you're true to
and
your
picks
art.
you up and carries you.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
It's passion and
And that's
love.
with anything. I don't care what.
Oh,
it is,
absolutely.
you know, I'm teaching a class in sculpture right now,
Yeah.
and
We want to talk about your sculptures. This man is an incredible sculptor.
well, I should have brought Jake today. Jake's my cowboy. He's 1887
Oh, yes.
era, and he, unlike the Remington and the
Yes.
Charlie Russells, who are all fearful,
Yes.
Jake is laughing.
Excellent.
And he's got his thumbs in his belt, and he's kicking back on his heels.
This
He's
is
got
a
his-
sculpture that he's done.
And he's got his
Right.
chaps and his rope and his pistol and the neckerchief and the hat.
Now that you're retired, you're now going into that area.
Totally,
Exactly.
totally.
And now, do you have a website where people can look at your work and perhaps purchase your sculptures?
I'm not selling anything.
You're not selling anything.
No, but I'm giving some things away.
You are.
Yeah, I'm going to give you one,
Oh my God.
and this is a bit of whimsy.
Oh my God. That's
So I'd like to have you
Oh.
have
Oh.
my pair
Oh, my
with the
God.
thong.
Look at this. Oh my God. This is the best award I think I've ever got. Look at this.
Well, I have to tell you,
Danny. Oh, this is
My pleasure,
fantastic.
my pleasure.
Thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much.
I have to-
Seriously.
Oh, whoa! No, it's okay.
What a surprise.
I have to come back and number it.
This
for
is an MUA TV first. This is
you. a pair with a thong.
a pair
you
with a
mean.
thong.
Well, I'll tell you how
No,
this happened.
Made by Dan Striepeke. That's what makes it
It's
really
it's
special.
bronze. It's pure bronze.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You know, my wife gave me a box pair one morning at breakfast, and I said, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this pair, and I said, you know, it's a lovely lady shape, you know.
Yes.
I said, so I took it out to my little hut and I said, I'm going to do a sculpture of this thing.
This is just terrific. Oh my God, are you bizarre? Man after my heart. I love this.
So I did the
This
sculpture,
is
and then
great.
I said,
Like, you
well,
do a
you
lot
know,
of these, like things like this,
Pardon?
or many of your sculptures like this, very
well,
abstract.
Jake is a Western,
yes.
pure Western.
Yes.
I've done a stick figure of 4 figures dancing. It's very abstract.
Yes.
I'm doing a sculpture now that I'm working on is trapezoidal, going toward almost looks like a bagel, but it's cut in half.
Yes.
It's open, and it's supported just on the top by another member.
Yes.
And then over here is
We've
a
got to see these.
multifaceted
Can we
pyramid.
can we come to your studio with a camera crew?
Sure.
And show the makeup world.
You know where
all
my
your-
studio is? It's out by my swimming pool. We overlook all of LA,
I love it. I love it. Where are you? You're out in.
right above the Chateau Marmont.
Oh, terrific.
Right there.
Right.
Oh yeah, you're more than welcome.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Wouldn't you love to see Dan Striepeke sculptures? Absolutely.
I
We're
also
going to do that for
I
you.
did a full life-size sculpture of Tom Hanks,
You did.
and I gave it to him for his birthday,
How incredible.
and he just loved it. He really
Yeah.
loved it. It
Oh,
really turned out well.
Absolutely.
I must say, it really turned out.
Do you have pictures of it?
Yeah, I didn't bring any of them today, though. Darn it!
Put this right. We have to get a close up of this. Can we? Let's get a
Let's
close
see.
up of this.
There's a
Let's
there's
cut a
place
close-up
here where
into
it's, cut on the bottom.
Yeah, and you've set it on that. I
Right
see.
there, like that.
Oh, that's perfect. That is. This is the best thing that anyone's ever done.
Well, my pleasure.
It really is fantastic.
Well, I've enjoyed this from you. You know.
Thank you.
So
Thank
much.
you. We're not done yet. And he's got a thong. It's got a thong. Check it out. Look at this.
Well, I do it in bronze and in silver and in gold.
Yes.
So I've got Olympic pairs.
Well,
with
this is
thongs.
going to have a very, very special place in my home.
Good. Now you just tilt it back.
I think we may use this as
wait a minute.
one of our MUA TV icons.
Yeah, here.
Got it? Perfect. Let's leave it right there. We have to move this microphone so you can see it. Here, it's better.
Anyway.
Love it. Okay.
So,
We will visit you. We will see your sculptures.
I'd like to have
Absolutely.
you come up. I've got 4 girls who I've worked with: Kathy Blondell,
Yes.
Barbara Lorenz,
Yes.
Linda
Barbara
Gersich,
Lorenz, yes.
and Linda Trainoff.
Yes.
And I said,
know.
you know, they all said, well, we'd like to do what you're doing. I said, well, the only way I teach really is I don't want you to copy anything. I want you to sit down here. I made the core forms.
Yes.
With the armature wire and the
Right.
and the plaster of Paris tape with the orange shellac, the old-fashioned way.
Right, that's the,
And and I said, I want you to put clay on this and find the person there. You find the person, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
want her to be a lovely Greek lady of 3,000 years ago.
yes. So you're
Classic.
teaching classes? You're teaching classes this way?
I have a class tomorrow.
That's, how many students do
I
you
don't
have?
charge. There's 5 girls.
You need a business manager.
5
Dave.
girls. No, I don't charge.
And-
In fact, I'm even baking them
I'll give you
lasagna
my-
tomorrow.
Oh,
And we're gonna have wine.
that's-
Come up
I will.
and see us.
Oh my God, I'd love to. That sounds great.
really? I mean-
I don't know if I can make it. Actually,
well,
we're
we'll do it-
shooting
but
tomorrow, but another
we'll do it
time.
another week.
We've got Matthew Mungle's coming in tomorrow.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, we have the makeup, a new site. Like this is MUA TV.
Right.
And we have a new site. It's called themakeupspace.com, where elite makeup artists, and you can be one of them, you should be one of them, are coming in to teach seminars.
Oh, really?
And they're very inexpensive to those people all around the world.
Of course, that'd be
You know,
wonderful.
very inexpensive.
That'd be very nice
And we'll talk about it.
Okay.
But Matthew's coming in tomorrow to
Well,
do.
he's a whiz.
Yeah, he's true. I'm
Matthew's-
very proud of Matthew. I'm
You
proud of them
mentioned
all.
about a bladder, and I got to bring
Yes.
Matthew Mungle into this. When we did Castaway,
Yes.
we had a gag in that picture where Tom, when he gets thrown off the raft on the reef, he gets
Yes.
impaled by a coral head in his leg.
Yes, I remember that.
And Bob Zemeckis wanted that to, as he comes up out of the water, he wants it bleeding, and he
Yes.
wants him to walk all the way up to the beach,
Yes.
and it's bleeding the whole time.
Yes.
So I made up a thing, you know, with a trigger on the palm, and but I had to get it waterproofed. So I finally went to Hydroflex, and they did a brilliant job of waterproofing it. So now we're in Fiji. We're, what, 6,000, 7,000 miles away.
Way away from
And
Hydroflex.
this one particular morning, got the bladder, and it goes up on, you know, the tube goes up under and around the back and to the pump back here, and it goes up, and the wire down here to Tom to trigger. And we fill the.
And Tom was going to do that.
Yeah, he's got to trigger it.
Right.
And we fill it and we bleed it out. Everything works perfect. And the appliance is done, just, you know, Deborah and I get
Yes.
the appliance together. And the rowboats take us out. Tom gets off. The rowboats, we row out of the sea. We've got 4 cameras on this side. They roll the cameras. Tom comes up from the water, you know, and he's punching the trigger. He's very good at this sort of
Yes.
thing. And starts to walk toward cameras. No blood.
Oh, boy.
No blood.
Oh, boy.
Well, I could have died, you know. So we get him in the boat and we start wrestling and try it. So we try it again.
Yes.
No blood. Zemeckis says, we'll do this tomorrow. Yes, Bob. Well, I felt like, you know, what you
Right,
said.
yeah.
So we go to recapitulate what the heck went wrong, you know? And we put a call into Matthew, because Matthew had made the bladder.
Matthew
and
Mungle, yeah.
And Matthew said, did you glue around the throat of the bladder? Oh, my God. Yes. So the fumes from the prosthetic
Melted it.
adhesive melted the throat.
Melted it. Oh, my.
So we put a new bladder on the next day, new
Yes.
appliance, of course.
Yes.
And kept well away from that.
Yes.
Man, it just was
It
like
worked
perfect.
good.
But it's not in the film because it took
Right.
too long.
Right, right, right,
But
right.
it worked perfect.
Right, right.
4 times it
Right.
worked perfect.
I've seen some pictures of it.
You may have, but it really worked well.
Yeah.
It,
or was it that Matthew showed me the
it just
bladder?
kept
Yeah.
gushing, not terrible gushing, but bleeding enough to make
Right.
it serious for the man.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, that and the other thing is with Castaway, we were about 8 degrees from the equator, And I couldn't let Tom get sunburned,
Yes.
but he's naked mostly,
Yes.
except a little cloth around.
Yes.
So
Like my pear here.
so a little more than that. But anyway, we do all the scratches and all the abrasions and the sunburn and everything else. But then we had to spray it with SPF to keep them from
Yes,
burning.
yes.
And of course, it degraded it.
Yes.
We get 2 shots out of the makeup, then back into the makeup hut
Yes.
and start all over
Redo
again.
it.
8
Oh.
times a day we would do this.
Oh.
And he never got a chance to rest. We never got a chance to rest. Deborah was doing his feet. There was an hour just on his feet because he had to be able to walk on coral. He had
Yes.
the whole 9 yards.
What did she do to his feet?
Prosthetics and-
She did a
yeah,
piece.
yeah,
Did you have
pieces.
pre-made
Yeah,
pieces for it?
Yeah, but they all had to be disguised. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And, Tom is such a compliant participant
Yes.
in that he helped make it possible.
Yes,
Because
yes.
anybody who wouldn't.
That makes it. That really makes it. You know.
Unbelievable. But what,
Yeah.
the discipline that's required.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've been there. So anyway, that was a great experience. In fact, Kathy Blondell and I were talking the other day, and I said, a lot of pictures you just don't even think about, but that you have so many memories of it because
Right.
we'd go to work early in the morning at dark and on these little 22-foot boats
Yes.
for an hour, crunching across the ocean.
Yes.
Get off on the beach and wade,
Yes.
and then come back at night, and we had sea snakes, and
Oh.
they get in the boat or they'd be along the beach.
Right,
they're,
right.
they're deadly venomous,
Ugh.
the cobra
my God.
family.
Tell us about the hair work. There was a tremendous amount of
Well, his beard was his own.
continuity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Kathy Blondell used extensions in his hair.
Yes.
And but the degrading was
Yes.
the thing, And then
Yes.
when he's trying to row out over the waves,
right.
well, by this time he's got sores all over his body,
Yes.
and it just saltwater's like a loaf
Now
sponge.
you were nominated, were you not, for
No,
this
I
picture?
was
You are not. You
no.
should have been.
And Tom was not nominated either. It took
No.
him 5 years to get that picture made. I thought he was brilliant in it.
Absolutely.
To take 42
Yes.
minutes of entertaining an audience without
Yes.
music or dialogue.
Amazing.
He kept them entertained.
Just his solid performance and your makeup.
My whole thing with the Academy is kind of convoluted in a way because I was nominated for Forrest Gump, and I was beaten by Elizabeth,
Yes.
and then I was nominated for Private Ryan.
I want to talk about Forrest
and,
Gump.
and beaten by Ed Wood.
Yes.
So, well,
Well, you're in good company
You
there.
just,
You're in good
so,
company.
but take your chances.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Go for it. But go ahead.
Well, I was always rooting for you.
No, thank you.
I want you to know
Thank
that.
you.